Hello and welcome to week 2 in Statistics for Psychology, and we're actually starting the content this week. Last week's assignment was similar, familiarize yourself with the class, get Excel started, and download that plugin. Now, if that's been problematic, please reach out to me because this week I'm having you use Excel and that plugin to create an average of scores and then submit that to me as an Excel file, and I'll get to that in just a moment. So we're looking at an introduction to statistics and the purpose for which we use statistics to convey information. Often what we'll see, you might have heard somebody trying to make an argument, and they say, well, show me the numbers. And that's kind of how our public reasoning has sort of incorporated the idea of statistics into our everyday language. Show me what you mean by most of these or all of these or exactly how many people does this involve, those kind of things. That sort of skepticism that says I'll only be satisfied when I actually see the math. Now, statistics, of course, is the core math for communicating that kind of information. It's easier to understand. Most people have a familiarity with averages. Sometimes they might even have an idea of variance. What we'll be learning in this class is much more advanced than that, and the kind of critical thinking we need in terms of how did you actually arrive at those numbers. But in the discussion, what I've done is I posted a couple articles that used numbers to convey an idea. It's actually sort of a trying to influence your thinking. And what we see in the examples of those two articles is how statistics is being used to convey that a particular opinion is validated and supported by data. One of the most important tools that we have to do that. I've included two articles, but I'm perfectly willing to have you find other articles and include those in the discussions as well. What I want you to experience is the use of statistics in the media right now. Sometimes it's good statistics, sometimes it's bad. We'll be learning how to distinguish those, but I want you to see how influential numbers are when we're trying to make a point. So we'll get into that in this discussion. The assignment, I'm looking at my paper here and I looked at the wrong class. The assignment is I'm actually going to have you do your first Excel document. Now what you're doing is you're opening up a new Excel file. Down on the bottom there are tabs. You usually just have one when you open up a new file. You're going to create another tab by right-clicking on the tab and making a new tab. The first tab becomes your title page, and the second tab and subsequent tabs after that, going from left to right, are where you're going to be submitting your assignment. Now, I've included a list of numbers, and I'm simply asking you to compute the average of those numbers. The numerical average, you add them all up, divide them by the n, the number of records that you have, or the number of samples. And so by doing that, you're going to be using the formulas that are built into Excel. In Excel, when you highlight a particular square you click in there and type equals. The equal sign is very important. That initiates the functions that are built into Excel. And for many of us, they start to appear. As soon as we start to write, our choices start to appear, and there's lots of them. And average, you just start typing average, and then it's going to give you a formula that says average, open parentheses, and then you put each one of the cells that you want it to continue, or you put the first cell colon, last cell going along a column, and then a closed parenthesis, and it calculates the average of that span of numbers. The second way you're going to do that is using the plugin. It produces the same result, but it just uses different tools. We're going to be migrating more and more to using the plugin because the plugin is a shortcut to some of the numerous equations that you would have to put in, the numerous formulas that you would have to put into an Excel cell to calculate standard deviation, let alone t-test and z-test and things that we're going to be doing in the future. Now, this is your first assignment in this class. It's a very simple assignment. Every Excel file that you submit for this class, the first tab is going to be a title page by using a text block and creating a title page in that. And then each tab after that will be the various things that I'm asking you to do in Excel. And you can actually label those tabs, so that helps a lot too. So you will be submitting the actual Excel file, the XLSX.XLSX. You're not going to be converting it to another format like PDF, which I often ask people to do. You're going to keep it in an Excel format. The way that it gets used in Brightspace is I can't view it in Brightspace. It's not going to look right. So I have to download them all to grade them. And I really want them in Excel format because then I'm able to see your formulas, and if there's anything going on or something, I can make those kinds of corrections. So because I'm downloading each one of these files, I want you to name the file in a particular manner. And I described that in the course book. It's your last name, first initial, dash, the chapter, and then the assignment. That's in the name of the file. When you say save as, you put it in there. So when I download it and I put them on my computer, they're all in alphabetical order by your last name. So make sure you clue into that convention of saving your files and submitting those files to me. Makes my grading easier. I then leave comments in the grading rubric. There's a standard grading rubric. It's the same grading rubric for all the assignments, basically looking at the format, that you got all the math right, and then drawing the conclusions and how well you write. So that's going to be constant across all of these different assignments. So I look forward to seeing those. These are your first submissions of your Excel files. And we'll see how it goes. This is the time to work all the bugs out before we do even more advanced calculations later on. So I look forward to getting those, and have a great week.